Simon O'Connor.
Mr Speaker, very pleased in this matter of urgency to discuss the Customs and Excise Tobacco Product Budget Measures Amendment Bill. This is an excellent bill. In fact, I think listening to all the contributions that have been occurring in the House, that is ultimately the theme. There's a whole lot of distractions, conspiracies and otherwise to try and take away from that, but this is actually an incredibly good bill. I want to acknowledge Minister Sam Lotuinga and along with Marama Fox from the Maori Party for this bill, but particularly to Sam, who's shown, I think, very strong leadership in this space as we, as a New Zealand Parliament and a New Zealand public, move towards New Zealand being smoke-free by 2025. Look, I've been disappointed by effectively the bluster and conspiracy from the other side, particularly in two areas which I want to debunk. The first is this whole element of well, smoking is legal, therefore it's right. That's a very false point of thinking. No, actually, we just heard that from the last speaker saying, look, this is legal, it's nanny status, and we've actually heard it. We're going to hear it, I suspect, from our more libertarian friend afterwards. Just because something's legal doesn't make it right, and therefore I think it's quite appropriate for the government to actually move tax dodging. Once again, we see the absolute lack of thinking and rigour from the other side. There's never an idea that they've been able to comprehend that they couldn't sort of try to comprehend. So look, just because that's right. Absolutely. Actually, the best example's just been given. The Labour Party's legal, but it doesn't make them right. And that actually is the second element which comes up. That's right. So first and foremost, just because something's legal doesn't make it right. Coming out of that was then the suggestion that this is a tax, therefore, that the poor will pay. I first and foremost don't think there's much or direct evidence of that. Secondly, the whole point of this excise tax is to encourage people to not smoke. Okay, so if people are stopping smoking through measures such as this, they cannot, ipso facto, be paying the tax. Sorry, I just got to throw a bit of Latin in there. Look, the next element, of course, and we've been hearing it from, I think, Stuart Nash in particular, was talking about all these other harms in society. Was talking about sugar. In fact, we've heard it from others. I shouldn't just pick on Stuart Nash, but he was saying alcohol's harmful. He was saying that, well, he didn't actually quite get to coffee being harmful. We've heard that sugar is harmful. I think members who go down that line, particularly in this context of us putting an excise tax on tobacco, is that tobacco by its very nature is harmful. Okay? Sugar is not harmful by its nature. Coffee by its nature is not harmful. Alcohol, in fact, by its nature is not harmful. There can be harm associated with it, but we're talking about something fundamentally different here when it comes to tobacco. And I hear chortling from the other side, but then again, they don't understand science. It's actually very interesting. So this is actually, in a context, an incredibly good bill to put a tax on, a compounding tax, starting from January this year to encourage people not to smoke. And I think what's going to be quite interesting, because I'm conscious we go through all parts today, that we'll be able to raise some other elements, particularly what the government is doing in the health space. I think I'll address that in other readings around how actually this tax will be targeted to health, and also be able to raise more points around what the government is doing quite rightly beyond the excise tax to support the cessation of smoking. So I commend this in its first reading.